Just like you mentioned before, when you've interacted with my team at Tenor, you can smell it when people are happy at work and when they're excited about what they're doing. And that's just good for the business. It gives you so much like grace and air cover when that relationship is really strong and when they can sense that enthusiasm from you. So I think that's really important.
Welcome to the Leadership Reckoning Room, the space where leaders are brave enough to look in the mirror and do the real work. I'm Steph, and today we light the lantern with someone who has spent his career at the intersection of learning, technology, and the deep human work of helping people lead with more clarity, more confidence, and care. James Cross is the founder and CEO of Tenor, the AI-powered practice platform redefining how managers grow. He's a builder of tools that make leadership more human, a designer of learning experiences that actually change behavior, and a strategist who believes that practice, not theory, is the missing ingredient in how we develop people. James is here because he leads with a rare blend of curiosity and conviction, a founder who tells the truth with generosity, who sees leadership as a craft to be practiced, and who believes that technology should make us more human, not less. He's the kind of leader we need more leaders to be. So take a breath, set down whatever armor you walked in with, and step into the reckoning with us. James, I'm so happy to talk to you today. Thank you for taking the time.
My pleasure. So excited to be here for the conversation today. It's always fun to chat.
Yes, I can't wait to get right into it and talk about all things that Tenor does and then just your creativity behind it and what led you to starting Tenor and the tool set that it has become so critically important. And you and I partnered a little bit at ServiceNow on the tool set, and I am a huge fan. I'm a huge advocate for it. And it is a way that leaders and managers can blend AI to lift those things off of managers' plates that are taking them away from being better leaders. And at the same time, a tool that helps managers and people leaders be better from the human-centered perspective. So maybe we could just start by you just telling us a little bit about yourself. Where'd you grow up? How'd you find your way to the world of learning, technology, and leadership?
Definitely. Well, as you can probably tell from the accent, not from the US originally. I'm based in San Francisco nowadays, and I've been in the US for coming up to 10 years now. I was born in the north of the UK in Liverpool and lived in a city called Sheffield and went to university there for a while. And I actually started my career as a high school teacher. And that's where my love of like learning and like enabling people with technology really started. So I started teaching, qualified to teach in the UK in 2005. And that was around the time that online video was taking off. So YouTube was really taking off. People started to have faster internet connections. And I saw in my classroom just how powerful video could be to enhance learning and bring learning to people. And we've seen that play out in wonderful ways since then. But back then, I did a lot of writing on using video for learning and was a founding team member of a company called MediaCore, which was a platform that brought video to large universities, school districts, and companies and helped them to securely kind of build video with a really great experience into their learning experiences. So that's the path that took me from kind of being a high school teacher to working in the technology space. It's that kind of pulling on that thread of that love of technology, enabling people. And then what took me from there to Workday was just after we'd raised our Series A at MediaCore, was living in Victoria, BC, and Vancouver Island at the time, not too far from you geographically.
Yeah, that's
And
close to me.
yeah, it is. Love the Pacific Northwest. And just after we raised our Series A, Workday emailed us and they were like, hey, we'd love to come to Victoria to meet the team. And it turned out that Workday was looking to build an LMS as part of the Workday suite and was looking for a company that knew how to build next generation kind of video-centric learning experiences and felt an immediate cultural fit with the Workday team. It was like a match made in heaven. We were really excited about the opportunity to bring our technology and our passion for making people better with that technology at a huge, huge scale. And so we were acquired by Workday in 2015. That's what took me to Workday, where I came through as the lead product strategist for Workday Learning. And it's also what brought me to the US, which is what brought me to San Francisco. So that's my crazy little journey from being a high school teacher in Liverpool to kind of working in technology. Yeah.
Oh my gosh. Okay, well, first of all, what subjects did you teach in high school? That's tough.
I taught, yeah, it is. It was good fun, but good, but tough. It was an inner city high school, so kind of very mixed population of kids, which was a great challenge, but also great fun. I taught music and English at high school.
Oh, that's
So I was a
incredible.
musician. Yeah.
Just another quick question. So hierarchy is such a prominent thing in today's workplace, and how you show up. I'm all about being a human centered leader. I'll say it every single podcast. And how you show up and create a culture at your company is critically important. And me just knowing you a little bit, I know that you are genuinely and authentically that kind of leader that just really cares about the people that you work with and are lucky enough to lead and that you partner with. I always got that sense from you when we worked together a little bit at ServiceNow and all the lucky times I've been able to talk to you since. So as a leader and just as a human, when you meet people, what do you hope they experience in your presence?
A really good question. So in terms of my leadership style, I try and be the kind of leader who has high standards, but also genuinely cares about the people that work for me and I work with. So I try and balance that really well. And one of my favorite things about this job, kind of leading an early stage startup in the tech space, is trying to find that early career talent that has so much promise that you can help to unlock in the right situation and kind of making them flourish within the organization through kind of leadership and mentorship. I think that's one of the things I personally find most exciting about startups. I think for me, my last startup was a huge inflection point for me in my growth and learning and just experiencing the world and becoming who I am today. And I want to provide that for other people. I want Tenor to be a place where people can work, and it's that inflection point in their growth and their career that kind of just changes the game for them. So I think that's one thing I love about this, and I'm really passionate about right now.
No, that's great. Well, and every person that I've come across from Tenor is just like you, as far as being really kind and authentic and just excited about what you do and the possibilities of what you do in making others great, which I love. It's a passion that I share, and it's fun to partner with people who have that kind of not just passion, but kindness in what they're doing and how they're showing up to each other. So good on you for creating that culture at Tenor for sure. One of the things that I'm curious about is you've spent your career building tools that unlock human potential, Workday, being a teacher, and now at Tenor. So, and through technology. So what early life experience made you someone who pays attention to how people learn and how they show up? Was it from when you were a student or when you became an instructor or a teacher for others?
Yeah, I remember growing up for the longest time, even as like a young child, I wanted to be a teacher. And I think part of that was my love of my own teachers, having just had some amazing teachers in my life and seeing the impact they made for me, and really looked up to that as a profession that really made a difference. And also it was for me just being like a voracious learner and just loving immersing myself in learning. I think it was those things that led me to kind of the world of teaching and learning. And ever since then, I've just been obsessed with the idea of using technology to be more effective and to improve ourselves and bringing that technology to others. And we'll get into this, but it's such a wildly exciting time on that front right now, where we've all got access to agents that can teach us things, that know us. It's for people like you and I who love learning and growth, it's such an amazing time right now.
Yeah, to be honest, like I don't know. I used to never think that I would be able to start my own company, let alone a consulting company, or write a book, or have a podcast, right? I that wasn't even in my mind or in my realm of possibility. But what's crazy is that things happen when they're supposed to happen. And Copilot and Claude and all of these amazing tools have come out to where it's now my coach or my support system or my partner in figuring things out that I never thought were possible for me personally and professionally. So yeah, I'm excited to get into that with you, especially about the tools that Tenor offers, which I'm telling you, I will be an advocate for them forever because I think they're so important. Can you just share one more thing personally with me of just around, is there someone, a mentor or a teacher for you in your past, or someone specifically that really helped shape your philosophy on human development and really investing in other human beings to be able to lift them and be better? I know you're doing that for other people, and I know you did that for the high schoolers that you taught, but is there anybody that specifically did that for you that you can recall?
Yeah, again, my teachers really influenced me growing up. There was one particular English teacher who I think for me, English was one of the subjects that I found like a little easier and like really enjoyed, kind of English language, English literature. And it was one of those teachers that supported me, really encouraged my love of the subject, but also sometimes when he felt that I maybe was kind of sitting back a little or not putting my all into it, would have that difficult conversation with me and say, hey, James, like you need to lean into this. I think you're taking it a little bit easy on this project. Or if you don't spend some more time with this, you're really going to suffer when it comes to this piece. So I think it's that combination of having somebody who like cares for you, pushes you, isn't afraid to have the hard conversation and can see the potential in you. And I think it's that combination of things that I think makes a good leader.
Yeah. Oh, absolutely. The thing that I'll tell you that I love so much about Tenor, you and your team have created something that is like a pocket coach, essentially, for managers real time to be able to practice real time, real world practice in things like, for example, many things, but one of the things that we came to you for is around having difficult conversations specifically, and having those conversations that managers tend to avoid because it makes them uncomfortable. And so then they don't give that kind of feedback like you were just describing, because there's the fear there that you're going to get it wrong, or you don't know how the other person's going to react, or it's too uncomfortable. But what you're doing is a disservice to the person that you need to have this conversation with. And it doesn't have to be negative. It doesn't have to be a contentious conversation. It can be something that's delivered with care. And the only way that you get better at those kinds of conversations is through practice. And the last thing you want to do is have your first conversation like that with somebody live, because you're going to screw it up. I know
I
a
have
lot
too.
of managers have, right?
Yeah.
And or you think it's going to go one way and it goes completely a different way, and you don't know how to handle that real time. And so I love that Tenor offers, and I'll let you, maybe you can just start off by explaining a little bit more eloquently than I just did what Tenor offers in that space.
Well, like, I appreciate your passion for what we're building. So thank you so much for that. And what we're building is an AI platform for workforce effectiveness that essentially helps people kind of show up better in the moments that matter, and also in a way that aligns with their company's best practices for how to show up in those moments. So we have a platform that includes things like voice AI role plays. And we've built a lot of underlying technology on the voice side that makes them kind of really reactive, really instant. They make you think on your feet. They feel very realistic. And we've also built out more of a situational AI coach as well, that's there in the flow of work in Slack or Teams, is being fed by context from your HRIS and learning systems, so it knows who you are as a manager. And we can also start to deliver some of those really proactive interventions in the moments where managers and employees need it most. And while we do that, we're always reinforcing the company's best practices and playbooks and kind of rules and recipes for success as well, and just reinforcing that naturally.
Yeah, it's genius. And the thing that I love, James, is that you had this going well before like a lot of companies are trying to do this now because they've realized it's a problem or a gap that companies need addressed, especially with AI. But you implemented this a while ago. And so I'm curious, how did you know that was a need? Like from a creative and a design and just an innovative perspective, how did you know that you were kind of seeing the future? What managers needed specifically?
Yeah. So the original insights and kind of technology insight came from my wonderful longtime friend and co-founder, Charlie, who previously was at Workday with me. We also had startups before Workday, both in the video learning space that I knew each other from then. So we've got like a long kind of collaboration and working relationship and friendship. And we both left Workday around the same time, thinking about, well, what's next for us? Where is AI going to take the learning space, and how can we be part of that? At the time, Charlie was getting very excited about voice AI specifically. And this was in the very, very early days of voice AI, when the technology was nowhere near how it is today. And he saw that glimmer of opportunity in, well, how can we use this voice AI to help us actually be better communicators as humans? And built out prototypes around that and realized there was something there, something that was really powerful that helped us to use this technology to be better communicators day to day. And we were going for like weekly walks, talking about ideas and what we might want to build together as our next thing. And the idea that we honed in on was Tenor, and the idea of kind of using these voice AI systems to help people be better humans and better communicators. So all credit to Charlie for having that initial insight in building those first prototypes and seeing that there was this path there a lot earlier than many other companies kind of did that. So that's the reason why I think our technology is so good on the voice side, because we've been working with the voice technology for so long now.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, I've seen many options of this kind of offering, close, but not to the extent or the quality that Tenor does it. And I promise I'm not selling anybody anything on this. But what I was blown away by was the very realistic ability to practice those conversations that felt real. So an AI simulated conversation, I could toggle how I thought somebody might react, and the person or the AI person, the AI that I was interacting with would react a certain way so that I could practice that. Is the person going to be defensive? Is the person going to cry? Like, is the person going to not really care or be engaged? And so you could go through and practice that real time and get feedback as you're going so that you could keep practicing it. And it's in a safe place, right? I don't know about you, but I would rather do that 1,000 times than do a role play in a classroom with somebody else. Because anytime I remember being in so many classrooms going, okay, now we're going to turn to your partner and do a role play. That's when I'd exit to go to the bathroom. Like it just was uncomfortable. This is the first time something like this, something critical like this, a critical skill that every manager needs to have, communication, providing clarity, all of those things. It was made in a comfortable way that was very real world. So I thank you for it. And I know all the managers who are leveraging and all the leaders who are leveraging Tenor are thanking you as well. And so are the employees. On top of that, you've said that being a people leader is hard. You and I both know it's the most difficult job. And it's a privilege. I'll say this again every podcast. It's a privilege to be able to lead others. And when you're in it for the right reasons, it is the most rewarding role, job, experience you can ever have. And I love nothing more than lifting those around me and making them better. Tenor's rebuilding the future where every manager is enabled by AI. And I'm just curious, I'm going to double load this question. What does that future look like to you? And in tandem with that, I've been reading a lot of articles around companies that are thinking, okay, well, we have to, reorg because we're going to be implementing AI. And so they reorg because of AI versus a way to move more quickly as a company. And two, they want to flatten the org because we don't need managers anymore. AI can just do all of that. Why do we need that? Or we can, put an AI coach in your pocket and that's good enough. I have very distinct opinions about that. Flattening, span of control, yeah. Optimize for quickness, but at the same time, I feel like you have to keep that human-centered piece. We are still humans. But what's your view on that? What does the future look like to you from a manager perspective or a people leader perspective in the era of AI?
Yeah, I think this question is top of lots of people's minds right now. I do think the role of the manager is inevitably going to change and the whole workforce is going to be reshaped in the next few years. And we don't yet have a sense of exactly how that looks, but I think we can all sense that something is coming and we're starting to see the first signs of that, even in kind of bigger, more mature companies. Yep. So in terms of how I think the world of the manager changes, I think we move away from having pure managers. I think we move to a world where pretty much every manager is a player coach, likely with a larger team. And that team will have expectations to be very productive because that team is leveraging AI tools, AI agents across the board. So I think that's the broad trend that we're seeing. To the extent that plays out right now, I think there's still a role for managers. You still need somebody who's setting direction for the team, holding people accountable. And I don't think you can do that just with AI-driven metrics. I don't think we're going to be in a world where people have AI metrics-driven managers. I think you still need that human touch but I think you might get less of that human touch day to day because your
Yeah.
manager is a player coach, and also your manager has a bigger team and with more kind of responsibility.
Yeah.
So I think they're the general trends I'm seeing. What that looks like and how fast it happens, I'm not sure, but I think they're the general trends.
Yeah, that's what I'm seeing and hearing and feeling as well. And the position or stance that I've how to make it all make sense in my mind is that it goes back to like the terms manager and leader. And I feel like we're also shifting there as well, as far as AI manages the work and a leader, a people leader, helps lead the people. And so how do you partner those together? And I'm telling you, if I think that span of control is one big thing that has always been a topic for me. If you're a manager of one person, I mean, you're still a people leader. You're leading that one person. It's very different than when you're leading 40.
Yeah.
And I think as a manager, a lot of the times our time is bogged down in things like documentation and not just having one-on-ones, but making the time and space on our calendars for things like that. And if you have to do 40 of them, what does that look like? So that has to be thought differently. And so I think that the more AI and the more tools like Tenor can one lift off the day-to-day things that managers usually get drowned in or buried in, the more they can then be a player coach alongside their teams and lead them from a human perspective and invest every day versus I'm going to have this one-on-one with you and that's all you get. It's more of an interaction. It's like I always say in my teams that I've led, we're one. I am not the manager that sits, high up in the castle watching down as the village burns. I'm down there with you helping the village not to burn. And that's I think that's what a true leader does is just shows up authentically right beside that we're here to solve this together, whatever it is, even if we don't know the answers. So it's going to be interesting to see how things play out, what companies try from extremes, learn so that the rest of us can follow along. What's a principle from your workday years that you carried directly into Tenor with you? Is there anything specifically?
Yeah, Workday was transformative for me, and I think just shaped who I am as a leader and how I think about building products. And obviously learned a lot at Workday about how to work with the world's largest companies, how to build products and solutions for very complex workforces, and how to do that in a way that's kind of secure, like ethical, and brought a lot of that to Tenor. But I think culturally at Workday, we've kind of shaped Tenor around a lot of the things we learned that work there. One is obviously putting customers and employees first. There was always a belief at Workday that like customers always come first and employees do too. And if you have, just like you mentioned before, when you've interacted with my team at Tenor, you can smell it when people are happy at work and when they're excited about what they're doing.
Oh, yeah.
And that's just good for the business. So I think that's one of the biggest things that we learned at Workday.
On that, I want to just touch on culture a little bit. Culture is everything. And I love your Tenor values. Specifically, okay, so I'll just read them. Let me correct me if I didn't catch them correctly. Customers, excellence, employees, kindness, honesty, and play. I love all of them. The last ones I really love. You have to be a kind, I'll always say it, human to others, especially now. The other one that I love is play, because I think that now more than ever, you have to be curious. You need to be a leader that leads with curiosity. You're not going to have all the answers anymore. Not saying that all leaders ever did have all the answers, but that's what they were supposed to have, right? And they're not going to now. And so how do you ensure that tenet remains in your culture as far as play and creating a culture of learning to help your culture stay solid and protected as you grow?
Yeah, I personally believe that, like I said, when team members are enjoying their work and enjoy their colleagues they're with and having a good time, it's really good for business because customers and prospects can just smell that a mile off, and it gives you so much like grace and air cover when that relationship is really strong and when they can sense that enthusiasm from you. So I think that's really important. You probably saw from the values that we believe in like striving for excellence and having very high standards while also being a company of kind people that care for each other and that have fun together. And I think especially in like an early stage startup, it's like a constant sprint. You can never be running fast enough as a
Yeah.
team, and that's only sustainable if you're having fun when you do it. So I think that's where the fun and caring for each other kind of comes from. Just knowing that we've got like a very ambitious goal. We're in it together in the trenches,
Yeah.
but we're going to have fun while we do it. Yeah.
Yeah. I've had a couple of leaders, one in particular that reminds me of this at Microsoft when we were doing the manager reimagined work, where we came up with the manager expectations model, coach, and care. And he was the kind of leader that led us almost like a small startup to where we didn't have all the answers. We were so excited about what we were going to do that even though he provided as much clarity as possible, we knew what the North Star could be, but we just wanted to be a part of it because it was so exciting. And so we knew it was going to change how managers at Microsoft showed up, which was so important. And it did. And so you're right. It's if people, and we had fun. Like it was fun. Those were some of my favorite times in my career. And that's always been one of my leadership philosophies, is to have fun, because you spend far too much time at work away from your families. You spend a lot of time thinking about work. And if you aren't in an environment that is trusted and respected, that you can be creative and learn without fear, you can do anything. And I know you and I have talked a little bit about this, but I know that personally, that's when I've done my best work, is when I've been trusted and said, hey, Steph, here's a big gap we need to go figure it out without fear of judgment or anything. I can go and just be creative and think outside the box versus being boxed in and fearful that, oh God, I can't make a mistake. I can't like mess this up. So you don't take chances. So kudos to you. And that's probably why Tenor's doing so great under your leadership, and they're happy to come to work because of that and how you lead and set the tone for the culture, because it starts at the top.
Oh, thank you. That means a lot. Yeah.
When you look at leaders who are navigating AI well, what are they doing differently? Or what are you doing differently?
Yeah, it's a fun time just because the tools and the technologies are shifting so fast. So I think the main thing
Right.
is like, even though it's intimidating sometimes because it feels like it's moving really fast, like you have to be in the tools, you have to be experimenting, you have to have that beginner's kind of learner mindset, and just be experimenting on your evenings and weekends. I think that's probably one of the key things that leaders are going to succeed with in the future, just because they're actually in the tools and they're developing that skill set. Because if you don't, then things are moving so fast that when you try and jump into it 6 months from now, the gap is going to be even bigger. So just being in the tools is one thing. Another kind of broad trend we're seeing, like I really believe there's market expectations are going to require companies to do more with less. And I think we've already seen this a little bit in the post-COVID bubble kind of rifts, teams getting bigger, higher expectations, revenue per employee expectations being bigger from the market. I think we're going to see that expectation really double down. And I think managers really will be expected to do a lot more with a lot less in the future.
Yeah.
And that's going to require them to find those force multipliers in AI. And I think you're only able to do that if you fundamentally understand how AI works and you've been in the tools from the start. And it's just a really special time that you can be experimenting with these technologies right now that we know are going to change the world, and you can be there dabbling with it early and like along for that ride too. So I think that's the main thing we want to see in leaders right now.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you said, things are changing so rapidly. At the same time, what's a leadership behavior that becomes more important, not less important, in the world where AI is doing most of the execution? What are the pieces that you need to remain human?
It's the human side. I think if you have a bigger team and your span of control is bigger, like the interactions you have with your team need to be so high quality and so special because you're going to have less of them. So I think that's one key thing, making sure that in those moments where you show up with a team member, when they need your help or where you've got a one-on-one or when you just interact with them, that needs to be like a really special moment that matters in that interaction, because you're likely to be having many less of those in the future. Yeah. So I think that's being a better human is probably the best way to be a leader in this world where technology is like shifting the landscape so much.
Yeah. It's being able to, what you said about moments that matter, being able to pay attention and understand what those moments that matter are, because they could be the smallest thing. And that's all you need to unlock somebody to be able to go a million miles an hour. But you have to pay attention and you have to be able to understand what that person needs from you. And I feel like only humans can do that to be able to unlock potential. Okay. When you think about the managers that Tenor is helping develop, or the people leaders that Tenor is helping develop, what mind shift or mindset shift do you think they most need to make it in the era of AI?
I think not being afraid to have those difficult conversations is just an evergreen one. I think as early career managers, it's something they always avoid, or even if they have the conversation, they won't really own the conversation. They'll give hand wavy kind of reasons. They'll point to leadership or to the economy. So I think that's one thing, just having people really take ownership in the moment. The other thing is conversations, like whenever I've been dreading a difficult conversation, when I've actually come to have it, it's always gone a little better than I thought it would.
Yeah.
And I think learning, just people developing because it never gets easier when you have these difficult conversations. But I think you need to develop the muscle memory that I just need to go do this, and I need to
Yeah.
practice and prepare, and I
Yeah.
need to go make sure it's as good as it can possibly be. Yeah.
Yeah. Being prepared is everything. You can't just walk into those thinking it's going to be fine and you're going to wing it ever, because you're dealing with another human being. And you want to make sure, I've always said, that you wrap it in care. It doesn't have to be a soft message. It doesn't have to be, it should never be an indirect, muddled message. You need to be clear, but you can do it with kindness and with care, even if it's the most difficult message. I've had to deliver many in my career, from layoffs to letting people go to, I mean, just even talking with people about the hardships that they're having in their life personally that might be affecting work, just caring about them as human beings and letting them know you're right there with them and you are their biggest cheerleader, regardless of what you're talking to them about. I will never forget some of those conversations I've had because of how they landed with the other person, because you showed that you cared about them versus just delivering a message that's going to affect somebody's life potentially.
Yeah, and I think we can all think back to those conversations where it had that like 5 minute conversation with somebody can have an impact for the rest of your life if it's a really well structured,
absolutely.
good conversation from somebody that cares. Yeah.
Yeah. I'll share with you a quick story. We went through a reorg at Microsoft. My whole team was moved to another leader. And I had never met this leader. They'd never met me or my team. And I walked into my first one-on-one with this person, ready to share about the work we do, the impact we're having, just set the tone for Inform. First thing he said to me was, we've decided we're probably going to outsource all of the work that your team and you are doing. So you should probably just go and start looking for other jobs. That was the first thing. And I went, what?
Wow.
I looked around like, certainly this is like candid camp. Like, what? I had no words. I couldn't even react. So I just said, I had to just leave and then regroup in my office and come back. And that pushed me then to go, okay, Steph, what do you really want to do? What are you passionate about? Because you get comfortable in a job and it's a great role and you get paid well and all of that. And you want to do great in the role, but you don't always think about, do I enjoy this work? Is this exactly what I want to do? What is my purpose? What is my passion? So I look upon that terrible, horrible conversation after I bawled my eyes out in my office with the blinds closed for 10 minutes, made me really go, okay, what do you want to do? And that was one of the first times I'd asked myself that, or been forced to ask myself that. So I remember it for both of those reasons, being terrible and also pushing me a little bit. So, gosh, I know we're getting close to time. There's just a couple questions I want to ask. One, what practice or ritual do you practice just to stay grounded in the pace when change feels overwhelming, especially as a CEO? You're carrying a lot. How do you stay grounded each day and show up so kind and so happy? You're happy all the time.
Well, I love what I'm doing, so that helps.
Yeah.
For me, it's going to the gym. I try and go every morning, and I think that just sets me up for the day. It gives us some time away from my phone if I'm kind of not checking it between sets.
Yeah.
And I think that's just like a really important part of the day for me. So that's what keeps me grounded and keeps me sane on those busy days. Yeah.
Well, it's for me, it clears my mind. It's more about clearing my mind almost than it is the rest of it, because then I can have a reset and go, okay, life, it's not that bad. Like I can handle these things, and it helps you think through potentially the things that might have been blocking just because you sit at your desk or
It's amazing how that works when you go for a run or something, and this thing that was intractable in your head, suddenly you get that an epiphany. It happens so often. Yeah.
Every night I'm like, I need to get away from this desk. We're going to go walk the dog, and just walking around just a block, I feel like I can breathe and my jaw unclenches, all of that. So yeah, that's really good. If you were to offer one thing to the listeners and the leaders listening, what's one thing you hope they take away from this conversation, or companies that you're working with?
Yeah, for me, honestly, it comes down to just AI technologies. I really preach a lot that people just need to be experimenting right now and just get over that learning curve and that intimidation and just jump into the tools and just become comfortable with them. I think that's the main thing. All of us have a responsibility to ourselves and to our teams to do right now. So that would be the main thing. Just get in the tools. The tools are messy right now. They're evolving week over week. It's scary, but just get in there and just start to develop that mindset and that muscle and kind of just hop on that wave and be along for the ride a little bit. Yeah.
Well, it's not as scary when you understand it. If you don't understand it, then it seems scary and you don't trust it. But at the same time, the more you learn and the more you go in and practice and the more you play with it, the easier it is, and the more doors and worlds it opened for me anyway. Starting my company, the first thing I did was, hey, Copilot, how do you start an LLC? Like, I didn't know.
It's so empowering that you can just jump, like before the call when we were chatting, you mentioned the game that you'd had produced, the physical game, which you've probably got right there.
Yes.
You mentioned that you hadn't built a game before. You didn't know how to do that. I'd imagine that an AI agent probably helped you along the way with figuring all of that out. And you couldn't have done it without it. It's so empowering. Yeah, it's so exciting.
It's so much fun to figure it out. And I'm learning things I never thought possible. And speaking of the game, that's how we're going to close the episode with you. I did create Am I the Problem? A leadership reckoning card game. Self-awareness hurts. Play anyway. It's on Amazon now. And yeah, that was so much fun and so hard at the same time. But I'm so proud of it. So at the end of every episode, I pull a card from the game and ask questions. And so I have 2 questions you can pick from. If your team could vote anonymously on your worst habit, what would win in a landslide? That's one. Or what's been your biggest leadership failure and what did you learn from it? And have you shared it with your teams?
I'll pick the first one. I'm going to be brave and pick the first one. Yeah, good. I think, so a high level answer, I think this is fairly common to all leadership roles, but especially to leading like an early stage high growth startup. It's hard to know sometimes when you need to be in the details on something and when you can step back and let team members handle it and where you need to be somewhere in the middle. And for me, because the team's growing fast, the company's growing fast, sometimes I can get that wrong and I can either be a bit 2 steps back on something where I'm needed, or I can dive into the details and when a team member's actually got it and they're on top of it. So I think for me, I'm continuing to develop that muscle of knowing how I should be kind of leading the team as it grows, evolving myself as a leader, and knowing when to dive in and help them, when to sit back and let the great team members kind of run with it. So I think that would probably be the feedback they've given. Sometimes I get that wrong.
Well, you and everybody else. Yeah, I appreciate your honest answer there, James, so much, because I am also working on that. And I know probably every manager is, or every people leader is working on that specifically, to empower your teams and to know when to just trust and go and check in versus when you need to be more involved. I cannot thank you enough for being here with me today and talking with you. Again, I will say it, I'm a huge fan of Tenor. I think any company who could implement and partner with you would be so lucky to have a tool like that for their people leaders. It's invaluable. And today you reminded us that leadership isn't a title or a training module. It's a craft and it's a practice. It's a set of human skills that only grow when we're willing to step into the discomfort, to rehearse the hard moments, and to choose intention over instinct. You helped us see that the future of leadership isn't about more content, it's about more practice, more realism, more opportunities for people to try, fail, adjust, and try again in a space that feels safe enough to learn and honest enough to stretch. You showed us that AI, when used with care and clarity, doesn't replace the human work, it strengthens it. It gives leaders a mirror, a rehearsal room, a way to build the muscles that matter before they walk into the moments that count the most. I want to thank you for the way you build technology, for sure. Elevates humanity instead of encoding it and eroding it. To everyone listening, take a breath. Remember that self-reckoning isn't about getting it perfectly. It's about practicing who you want to become, especially in the moments when no one is watching and the choice is yours alone. So until next time, keep the lantern lit and keep doing the real work to light it for yourself and for those that you are lucky enough to lead. Thank you so much, James.
Thank you, Steph. That was fun.